Welcome back to Risk Talk. We're back. Yay!
And we need a better clap.
You need we need some audio so we can play the clapping.
You
How
need
about
it in
that?
the background.
Right. So this is episode 20. We've been on a little break
Yes.
and the scenery has changed.
Yes.
So we're at Siobhan's house now.
Great. Thank
Taping.
you.
But I want us to welcome our guest, Kim Lyons, here.
Hello.
Kim is a good friend of ours, and we asked her to come because we wanted to talk about financial literacy. And the reason why is because I felt like it was a good time, well, for me personally, because I done packed up, left my place, and I'm going back to mama house. Transition. And the purpose for that is because I want to save money so I'm able to purchase a home. And also for other reasons, like paying off debt and stuff like that. So I figured, let me invite my girl, Kim, who's in the financial world. So Kim, let us know what you do.
Okay, so by trade, I am a municipal bond analyst. So generally Wall Street.
Right.
But specifically, I analyze municipal bonds, which are securities that are issued by local governments or state governments that you invest in, the investors invest in. So It's basically the public loans and municipality money in order for them to afford like large infrastructure investments and things of that nature. They then issue you a bond instrument. That's your investment in them. And you get paid. So say you buy a bond for $1,000, you're gonna get that $1,000 back at the end of the maturity period, maybe like 10 or 15 years, plus interest payments.
Okay.
So when you think about bonds, it's generally in the context of stocks and bonds, whereas stocks are more volatile and the value goes up and down. Bonds are your safe sides of your investments, and that's
stable.
That's the stable. That's the stability there. And everyone has a bond. If you have a retirement portfolio, you have some bonds. I know most people are more familiar with the savings bonds, but in terms of long-term investing, you have a municipal bond somewhere in your financial portfolio. So that's what I do by trade. And then on the side, I'm also a personal finance coach, a money coach, and
I didn't know that. You could have been coaching me all this damn time.
My friend is super smart.
Hold on. And not to cut you up, but you was posting some stuff, and I'm like, let me ask Kim something. Kim, can we talk about this? I didn't know she was all into that, but go ahead.
Right, no, so that's just like, it's always been like just kind of like, I don't like nerd. Like that's just always been like my passion.
Okay.
I've always been like reading up on like personal finance and budgeting and like, debt management. Not to be confused with like credit repair. I'm not like a credit consultant.
Right.
People like, I'll fix your credit in like a month, give you an 850. Like that, I'm not touching that. That is fraud. Do not do that.
Right. I agree with you.
Do not do that.
I fix my own shit.
Yeah, but I'm like very much just like the person within a crew, like tell people like, like give you a holistic approach. Like, do you have a budget? What kind of savings vehicles do you use? So like, that's just been like my passion.
Okay.
So that's just something I've always been interested in. I just started like, making it a little business.
That's what's up. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
Well, I got some debt.
Don't we all? Don't we all? We all have that.
It's really my student loans that
Right.
I'm battling with.
Okay.
And when I tell people how much I owe, they like, girl, that's nothing. I'm like, well, what the fuck you owe? Because I be
You
getting
be
anxiety
surprised.
when I look at my credit score. Because all like my credit cards, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, good standing. But once you see that U.S. Department, I be like, fuck, I can't stand this shit. That's another reason why I moved out. Like, let me just go back home because I need to pay off this shit. And I owe only $28,000.
And that's actually pretty good.
Right.
That's
Right.
pretty
So
good.
people
a
like,
lot of
that's
money.
nothing.
It's
But
a lot of money.
to me, it's like, that's a lot.
Because the less you pay, the more interest you're going to grow on it. So you'll be paying more than what you owe. So you're
Right.
28 now, turned into 35.
Right.
Maybe 40.
Oh, God, don't say that. Please.
Well, that's if you're not paying at all, right?
Right.
Like a lot of people, they they go the deferral route. They think like, let me just put it off. And like, you should not put it off. You can actually pay your interest while you're deferring the principal. And a lot of people don't do that. They just like defer the whole amount. And that's why the balance grows and you owe more than what you initially started out with.
But that's because I did that.
Right. No, you're not. You don't.
I was paying the interest
off.
off.
Don't do that, people.
And
yeah, like pay the interest.
while I was on defer, you could still pay.
You can pay.
But I was doing that, but that's why it's still at 28. So my interest never really went up that much.
Yeah, but you do have people that owe like six figures.
I know.
6 figures.
Yeah. And they don't, I'm sad to say that a lot of people don't get the degrees that are going to get them a six-figure income, and then they wonder why they are drowning in student loan debt. Like, you have to be very strategic in what you are investing. Like, an education is an investment.
It is.
So if you're going to take out a liability, which is the loan, you make sure your asset at the end of that can cover that.
Right.
Make sure you're going into something that has, a career path that's profitable.
Right. But that's the sad part too, because a lot of people when they graduate, well, working in HR, and when I interview people and I see their degrees and what school they went to, and they come in for a job that's only paying $60,000, it's like, it's hard. It's like I feel bad for them because I'm like, they have high expectations. Like they're coming to a job, okay, I need to make X amount because really to pay off their debt.
Yeah.
Not even to survive, to pay day-to-day bills. It's really to pay off that student loan. So it's like, I don't know. That's another topic.
What do you suggest for the kids that want to go to college and the loans are just...
I would suggest, sometimes loans are unavoidable, but if you can't avoid them, avoid them. I actually think that kids should look at technical schools, community colleges first, and then you're able to transfer into a 4-year school, and that's where you get your degree. Because if you start at community college, your cost is a fraction of what it would be.
Right.
Look at public schools as opposed to private schools, because that'll also reduce your expenses. And if not, scholarships, anything like. And also, private loans should be like your last line of defense. Like, if that's how you're gonna finance it, wait a while, absolutely work while you're there. But then also, like, really think about what you're going to college for.
Right.
Like, exactly, what career path do you want to take? Don't sit there and like take out hundreds of $1,000s and you're getting like an art history degree. Like, do not do that. Especially, minority kids, like you Black and brown kids. Like, I'm not gonna say like don't follow your dreams, but
there's a cheaper route you can go.
It is. Like, go to the moment on the weekends. If you want to study art history, do not take out a loan and go to Columbia to study art history. Don't do that. Just have to be more strategic in the planning.
Right. So during the phase that I'm going through, like, I wanted to discuss like budgeting methods, like different ways to like budget and saving strategies.
Should I get a pad and paper?
So listen.
Because we all need help in that area.
Everybody needs help. Yes. I think that like with budgeting, it really starts at the beginning of tracking. Before you even like start, like, how's the best way to budget? I think a lot of people don't really understand the inflows and the outflows, right? You got to start from how much do you actually bring in a month, right? Okay. So sometimes we don't like to look at our bills. We don't like to look at our pay. Like, you need to look at your paycheck, look at the gross amount that you got paid, see everything that's getting taken out before taxes, and then when your taxes are getting taken out, and then look at your net pay. That is your monthly income. Do not tell anybody what you make gross. That does not matter.
Right.
Your take-home pay is what we are working with. And then look at your expenses. And I think a lot of people just drill down to like rent, groceries, utilities. But that's not your expenses. No. You need to look, like, I really tell like my clients to, like, for the first month, track everything. And it's very easy. Just look at your notepad in your phone, like every cent that you spend, just write it down, just jot it down. You will be surprised how much money people are spending, and they're not even realizing that we're spending. Like, it's not in their budget, but they don't understand why they don't have any money at the end of the month. Like, gas, your hair expenses. Like, if you know you're getting your hair done twice a month, once a month, like, that's a part of your expenses.
But what if you have to drive?
that's fine. You have to drive, but that should be in your expense column.
Right.
Like a lot of people just don't put gas in their expense. They think it's like whatever money I have, I'll just pay. But you can account for that.
Yes.
So the first step is to tally up everything that you spend, and if it's you break it down into recurring and non-recurring. So your recurring is things that you're going to spend in the same category every month.
Right.
So you know that this is going to come up again and again every month. The non-recurring are things like a dinner, like for a friend's birthday, or like, you know, like, I don't know, it's like some one-off type of expense. So those are the things that's variable and that you can adjust. So once you have all that down, I think budgeting, it depends on what you feel comfortable doing. Some people do just a pen and paper. Some people do Excel spreadsheets.
I like to write it down.
Right. I personally have a budget book. I write it down, but I also have an Excel spreadsheet. And then there's apps that you can actually use. A good one is it's actually called You Need a Budget. It's in the App Store.
So download that.
Download You Need a Budget.
What does it look like? Do you have it on your phone?
I don't, because I use my budget book. But I do, like, people that are app intensive, if they want to use that, I think that's like a really good app to use. So you start from there. I think what you also need to do when you're starting a budget is that you're looking at your expenses in terms of like your bills outside of like your household type of bills. When you're looking at like your credit card debt and stuff like that, you also need to be able to make sure like you're paying yourself first. Okay. I know like this is going to transition
like
into
even
the
before
savings.
The bills.
Even pay yourself off the top, the first.
Now, is it the 10% rule that we hear a lot?
It's the 10% rule that you hear a lot. But I do think that can get a little muddled, because 10% can apply to your retirement fund. Like when people say just save 10%, that doesn't necessarily mean like put 10% of your check in a savings account. Like that can mean 10% goes to your retirement fund, your employee retirement fund.
Gotcha.
Or 8% can go to your retirement fund, and 2% is in an emergency fund for like right now. So I am a big fan of the Dave Ramsey method.
See, I heard of
that. Dave Ramsey, he's actually very conservative, a Christian guy who does. He implemented like these debt repayment like steps, and it's actually very logical, but you don't have to like follow them to a T. Like do what works for you. Do what works for you. Personal finance is just that, it's personal. What works for you as a savings vehicle may not work for you.
You're right.
So it has to be tailored to your family, your household. So what Dave Ramsey advocates is like a debt snowball method.
Okay.
So it's like basically, if you have your credit card debt, you have like, say you have 3 credit cards, and you have, you go from the smallest balance to the largest balance. So you pay off the minimum payment for the 2 cards that have the largest balance, but you throw all the extra money at the small card, and then you just snowball it up.
Okay.
And it's like, he uses this term gazelle intense focus. So that's basically like, you have people that like, won't go out for a year. Like all they're focused on is like debt free. That's not gonna work for everybody. Like
no, I know. I tried that. Not to cut you off. I told this half a couple of months ago. I was like, I said, listen, I've decided I'm gonna let my apartment go. I'm gonna move back to the Bronx. I'm saving for my house. So I'm cutting back. I was even cutting back, getting my hair done. I was doing it myself, but that didn't last too long. I tried. At least I tried. So I think less than 48 hours, this one calls me. So we have do. And I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, we have this function, this event, this trip. And I'm like, I said, Siobhan, you didn't hear what I said.
I'm sorry. I just said, I'm trying to save for a house. That means I can't do everything. I can't. I'm gonna be incognito. But I don't take it personal. I just know you wasn't really listening to me. I was listening, and although you know what it is, I listened to everything that you said to me. But I also gave you the option that this is what I'm going to do. So in the meantime, if you think that you can join one event, then that's great. But I just like you to know what's going on without you. so you can be aware that this is what I'm doing, because I don't want you to be in the dark. Like, well, damn, she didn't tell me, although
I understand
she knew
that.
that I wanted to save, because that's how I do.
Yeah.
Although I say, Siobhan, I may want to save and I may want to do this, X, Y, and Z, but today may be the day that I may have played the lotto and I don't want $1,000. I may not have said nothing to you, but today may be the day. And then I look on Instagram and you're out and I'm like, hey, guys.
But that don't bother
But
me.
it does bother me. So I treat people how I like to be treated. So I just like to just like, hey, Siobhan, this is what we're doing. I'm not too sure if you want to go.
Yeah.
Even if you do want to go, this is what it is. This is how it's going to be. And I break it down to you.
No,
so either you in or you're
I
out.
appreciate that.
And I just want to give you a heads up of
But by
stuff.
now, you should know me. Those things don't bother me. I
Right.
don't mind staying home.
Oh, right. There's no
That's
fear
the
of missing
thing.
out.
Yeah, I don't
There's
think
no
I'm missing
FOMO.
anything.
Right.
But it gives me more anxiety because it's like I have this goal that I'm trying to reach.
And now you out
And-
at the bar spending
Right,
money that
so
could
it's
have
just
gone
like-
to something else.
But technically,
Right,
when we
so-
go out, we really don't spend any money.
We don't,
Yeah.
but I don't like to be out.
Without
Right.
the
Though I
flexibility
have
to
money,
spend the money. Right.
but it's just like I'm messing my goal. Like,
right.
So I'm going to promise to myself so you can keep your
Right.
goal. But I
Yeah.
also want to ask you, what are different saving plans for people that are retiring that you would suggest? Because some jobs offer you saving plans and some jobs don't. Like I have deferred comp, which I think is great.
And I don't.
And they take before taxes. So I get a chunk taken, but if I feel that it's in stable, it's in equity, I have it in like different stocks and bonds and I play with it. I'm able to change it from 10% to 7% to 13%. I do as I feel. When I do retire in 20 years, thank you, Lord, which is 5 years left to go.
I was gonna say, bitch.
Yeah,
It
it was
seemed like it was like 20.
no, it was a 20-year savings plan. So you can't touch it until you're 65. But they give you the option to take a stipend once a month, or you can take it all together and they tax it 20%. So if I save $300,000 over the course of my 20 years of working, then they will take, if I wanted an all one lump sum before I'm 65, they will take 20% of the $300,000. If I decided to say I want $1,000 a month until everything is gone, they still will take 20% every month of the $1,000. So the 20% of 1,000 is like 7 and some change.
Yeah.
So some people are not eligible, or some places don't even have deferred comp.
Right. So right. So that's a good starting point. So there are employer sponsored programs and non-employer sponsored
So
programs.
it would be
right?
like a non-employer
So
one.
you have the option of opening up an IRA, which is an individual retirement account. You can do a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. The difference between those is just the taxes. One, you pay taxes on the money that you're putting in. You're putting in the money after taxes, and when you withdraw it, it's tax-free. And the other one, you're putting in it tax-free now, and when you withdraw it,
That's
it's
the
in
Roth
tax. Right.
Yeah, because
Right. So the advantage of that is that at 65 or 70, whenever you retire, your tax rate will be lower. So some people like to do that. So anybody can open an IRA, and you can do it at all of the big firms, the Fidelities, the Vanguards, T. Rowe Price. They also have free advisory services, so you're not completely in the dark. I think with that, it's not like people shouldn't look at it as like, oh, I'm investing like directly in a stock market, like I'm buying like one stock or something like that. You're basically buying a bucket of securities, a mix of stocks and bonds, and that basically mirrors the market or the index. So say you buy a fund and it's tied to the S&P 500. You see,
break down the S&P 500 to the people that don't know, and for me, because
They don't know Standard & Poor's.
But let me say
it's
something.
an
Depending on where you
index,
work at, see, my
right?
job doesn't do the S&P 500. I don't know what that is, so I'm asking for myself and for other people that may not know. You know?
right. So there
Explain
are
it to
like
me.
just
I wanna
main
know.
indexes that track the market. They basically track the performance of each individual company that is listed on a stock exchange.
Okay.
So that's the S&P 500. So you'll see, when you see in the news when they say like the S&P 500 dropped 20% or dropped 20
You know
points
what?
or
I've
something
seen
like
that because I have
Right.
I have TD Ameritrade. I buy stocks.
Right.
And I see that, but I just don't know what it is because this is all new to me.
All that means is that, some incident happened or maybe earnings missed the mark or something, and that the value of that stock or that company dropped for that day, or the value of the markets, or if it's like the whole market did a drop, that generally means something happened at the federal level, at the federal policy, or at the international, like macro. Now we get into microeconomics, but like something happened, an event happened which triggered the markets to be move volatile. But that does not mean that like everything is gone. Like stocks move up and down every day. And the best advice that I give for anyone that is looking to invest, if you're going to do an IRA, is to put your money in there and forget about it.
Right.
Like this is not a short race. Like this is long, steady. The best investors are the ones that basically leave their money alone. When we have recessionary periods, like we went through the big recession in 2008 through 2011, a lot of people got scared and took their money out of their accounts because they saw the value dropping. But that's basically when the value of stocks drop. That's basically like a sale. You want to start buying more because now the stocks are cheaper.
Yes.
And whatever goes down always comes back up. There's never been a prolonged period of time where the markets were just like in this very low volatile period. So if you would have bought stocks during those periods or bought more of your funds during that period, you would be up like over 30% right now.
So you would have bought Bitcoin around 2008, 2011.
Well, that's cryptocurrency. We're not talking about that. I think like that already went bust. But just the traditional blue chip companies, like if you would have purchased more of those during that period, your return would be over 30% at this point. But we get scared, I think, especially within our community, we're very risk averse. And people, they're scared of the unfamiliar. And I feel like at this time, like there's so much information out there. Like we have our phones in our hand all the time. It's Google. It's very free. Like don't feel like intimidated by these terms because it can be easily broken down. Like these people don't know more than what you know. Like the same questions that you ask are the same questions that they ask. So, I think like research is our best friend, and just don't be afraid to do it. Like do something, open an IRA, just put your money in like an index fund and then just like leave it there. Like just leave it there.
But what would be like the minimum to like put in?
You can start with anything. I think it's like $2,500. Really? Yeah. I think like it depends on whatever is the company that you like start with, but like it's not. And I say this like I know it's all relative, but it's not. It doesn't take like $10,000 to start investing.
Is it something that they can do with their check and take it?
Yeah, because there's some online, right?
Because some people feel more comfortable with, I want to start an IRA. I want to start these index
quick
accounts.
As like
if they take it from the top, it works better.
So we're speaking to the audience. If you could just like list 2 or 3 IRA place companies that we can.
I would say start with the big major ones, Fidelity. And Vanguard. They are both good companies. There's even like a lot of the smaller companies that's coming through right now, Elvest and Betterment. They have lower fees. They have a lower fee structure, and that's actually very important. You want to get a low fee fund because that takes off of your profit, basically.
Okay.
So, and the fees are basically paying the people in the background, the people like me, that. So you kind of want a low fee fund because you don't want the fees to eat into your return. But again, like all these places just have a website. It really takes like 5 minutes to open an account. It's nothing intrusive. You just like, your major personal information and link your bank account. Yep. And you can just start putting in 500, 1,000, like whatever. It really isn't that hard.
Let it sit there.
It's before taxes.
This will be after taxes. If if it's not a non-employer sponsored program, like you're doing it on your own.
You're doing it right.
You're just doing it IRA.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, because mine is before taxes, so to me, it doesn't really hurt me.
You're not even seeing that money. Yeah. Like you're good.
So if they took $700 to a person, like they took $700, and I'll be like, I didn't really feel it because it was before taxes.
Okay.
Right.
It really don't hurt me.
Right.
Because even if you say, you know what, I don't want to do the 10% no more deferred comp because they took $700. When I will get paid the next 2 weeks, I won't see the $700 anyway. So you might as well just let them take it from the top. The more money you take, the more they put into your deferred comp.
And that also lowers your tax liability.
Yes, it does.
That's
good.
It puts you in another tax bracket as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That's good.
it lowers your tax liability, so you will owe the government less money
Yes.
during the tax year.
Any other saving strategies?
Well, I think so retirement is that's the long-term game.
Mhm.
So I think what I like to tell people is that you should at minimum have $1,000 to $2,500 of a regular, like, of an emergency fund.
Mhm.
Like, if that's your shit happens fund, your
Right.
car breaks down, something like that. This is money that's like at a Chase, a Wells Fargo, something that you have a card so you can go in and just get it. And then you should also have what I like to call sinking funds. And these are for like your not long term, but your mid-term things. Like if you know you're saving up for a vacation next year and you want to have that separate, like maybe $5,000, like a vacation fund. And then most importantly, what I definitely advocate for people to have is a 6-month emergency fund.
Yeah.
So this is for a 6-month fund. You calculate, at the beginning we talked about your monthly budget, calculate all of your expenses, multiply that times 6. That number should be the number that you have put away in a high yield savings account.
Now,
And
people, explain
Right,
to those
okay.
who don't know what a
So
high
a
yield
high
is.
yield savings account is generally it's an online bank. It's that pays a high interest rate. So your regular savings account, if you were to check right now, they're probably paying like 0.1%. So that when I say pays that much, that this is the amount that your money earns while it's sitting in the account. High yield savings account generally pay right now they're between 2 and 2.5%. So this is the interest that your money is going to be making for you just by sitting there in the accounts. The best ones right now that have the highest rate are Ally, ALLY.
I heard of it.
Marcus, that's a new Goldman Sachs online bank. American Express also has one.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of them. Capital One 360 has one as well. Like I have 2 with them, but I just switched one to Ally because their rate was higher. So also don't be afraid to like switch banks at any given point in time. You go with who's paying you the most.
Right.
So that's where you should store your 6-month emergency fund because you know, like life happens, like you can lose a job, an unexpected illness can occur. You know, some people's jobs don't offer, what is it called, long-term care? Like,
or
it's
disability.
So you need that fund. I think that's like a major thing, like within our community that like we really don't think about. Like people utilize their credit cards as a savings.
Right. That's the wrong
And
thing.
that is like you should not do that.
Because that interest rate is
Yeah.
beyond.
And
You should
then
not
some
do
people
that.
don't even have life insurance either
Right, that's another thing.
because
Some
they feel that's
people-
another bill.
Right, they think it's another bill. I really think a lot of also a personal finance is psychological. So it's definitely your mindset, how you know your spending habits. People that are thinking for today are not going to be thinking about life insurance. Like they want to think about like how they're going to fund their activities for the next couple of weeks. They're not going to think about like
That's the sad part.
who's going to cover not only my funeral, but like leaving money to like their kids or you know whoever family members. But life insurance is actually not that expensive.
It's cheap.
It's cheap, but the problem is that what's marketed to our community is it's called whole life. It's 2 different types of life insurance. Well, it's more term and whole.
Yeah.
Term is the one that is inexpensive and it's because it's for a term. You can get 10, 15, 20 years and it's generally less expensive. A lot of life insurance companies push onto the minority communities the whole life insurance because it's a cash value that accumulates. Yeah, it's a cash value that accumulates. And a lot of the times people will borrow from their life insurance and when they die, they don't have anything left because they've already borrowed from it.
Well, how much did they borrow?
I mean, like it happens. It happens, and I think that we should just be asking also.
I was under the impression with life insurance. So if you had let's just say a $40,000 policy, right? And say your cash, this is whole life insurance. Say your cash value is, just say $700. So if you borrow $700 because you have the cash, and then next week you die, so shouldn't it be 40,000 subtracted? The 700 should be subtracted 40,000. But that's how people think. I mean, that's how it is.
All right. It
is though.
It depends on your policy. Some
Right.
people will borrow up to
40,000.
Yeah, because
my
they look at
God.
that because they don't have an emergency fund.
Right.
They're not thinking
You
about
better get the pocketbook and everything in the grave with that.
All right, 3 tips before we go that you want to give to people in terms of like preparing themselves, like, because I know you mentioned on your post not too long ago, like preparing for a recession.
Yes.
Like, I just want to touch on that
much
just
like
briefly.
the Chicken Little. Okay.
Like 3
I'm
tips you
very
recommend.
much a pessimist. I am not one of those people like the heyday is just not going to continue. This is just a fact and this historical trend. The U.S. economy goes through a recessionary period every 8 to 10 years. Our last recession was in 2008. And that was called the Great Recession. We are long overdue at this point for another recession. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be as painful as the one in 2008 was, and this is basically when the market contracts, people lose their jobs, the markets go down, gross domestic product shrinks, like just our economy is shot to shit. So what I will say in terms of preparing for that is, one, try to recession-proof your job. If you are in, basically like just bolster up your skills right now, make sure you are at a stable company. If you're not at a stable company, look for a side gig or something else that you can do, another stream of income, bolster your savings, pay down debt.
Right.
Those are the 3 tips that I would give.
And that would be good because you know what? Look at the government shutdown.
Exactly. People were not prepared for that, and that was what, 6 weeks?
Yeah,
That's
a
been
long
6
time.
weeks without, like, these are people that were living paycheck to paycheck, and they were missing bills because of a government shutdown. They didn't have, the savings in place. So, just you have to be prepared.
Now, for tips, if people want to reach out to you, do you have any contact now?
Okay, so I do have an Instagram page and an email address. It's Bronx Budget Girl. That's on Instagram, and BronxBudgetGirl@gmail.com. So I do coaching for individuals and couples. I do like a comprehensive overview of your financial picture. I do not tell you like what stocks to invest in. Like, I am not an investment advisor, but I do just go over budgets and spending plans and debt repayment plans.
Do you have a class?
I do not have a class.
We should do a class.
Yes.
We should have the class here.
We can do a class. I'm not big on public speaking.
You're
but
doing
we can do
You're doing pretty fine to me.
You need a class.
because some
one-on-ones,
people
really need to know. They do.
Right.
Right. No, that's fine. I can do that. I do think that some people get a little bit nervous when discussing finances because, I think a lot of people feel ashamed sometimes. And
They do.
It's nothing to be
It's
ashamed
nothing to
about.
be ashamed of. Everybody gonna do
Everybody
financial.
goes
I ain't got
through
it.
something.
Right.
Exactly.
This ain't even out of this cup. I'm lying. It's something.
bitch.
But it's okay. It's okay. You have to be true to yourself at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So there's no sense of hiding behind a wall. If you
Everybody-
don't have it, you don't have it. If you need help, say you need help. Some
Right.
people can have a bunch of money and don't know how to manage the money, and it becomes no money.
That's a great point. I know people who make over 6 figures and live check to check, and I know people who make less than like $50,000 or below and may have like $10,000 to $15,000 sitting in the bank.
Right.
It's about how you manage your money,
yes.
not
Financial
how much you
management.
make. It's about how you manage it.
And I'm gonna admit that I'm horrible at times with managing money.
All right. So again, you got her contact information if you need some tips on any financial advisement, budgeting, savings. Please reach out to our lovely friend Kim. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Our friends are dope in real life. This is real life, though.
Right.
Like, what you
Real life dope. I need you to come on the show.
Real life friends.
Yes.
Real life dope.
All right, we'll be back at Red Talk with Siobhan and Siobhan. Stay tuned.